Let's go Dolphins! What if I told you that, behind the scenes, a culture war is raging in the locker room, with decisions being made that could shape not only the 2026 season, but also Mike McDaniel's fate, the starting quarterback position, and even the course of the next NFL draft? Sounds dramatic? Well, it is. And I have everything you need to know, straight from inside the building. And believe me, you'll want to hear it all. But before I reveal all the exclusive details, if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan, click the like button right now. And if you're with this team through thick and thin, especially if you've been a fan for over 20 years, leave a comment saying, "Go Dolphins." My heart bleeds aqua and orange. Let's show everyone that the Dolphins community is alive and more vibrant than ever. Let's go. Now, let's get right into it because this is no ordinary week for the Miami Dolphins. We're heading into week 18 sitting at 7-9. Just let that sink in. After starting the year 1-6, Miami has stormed back with fire in its veins. But that final game of the season, an away matchup against the New England Patriots, carries more weight than it appears at first glance. Scheduled for Sunday, January 4th at 4:25 p.m. Eastern, the only game Miami has played in that specific time slot all year, it's technically meaningless, yet carries layers of significance. Why? Because Mike McDaniel's team isn't mailing it in. Far from it. Let's start with Jordan Brooks. The linebacker exited the game against Tampa Bay with a hamstring injury, officially listed as day-to-day. Common sense would say rest him. But not so fast. Brooks is the NFL's leading tackler and clearly not ready to watch from the sidelines. McDaniel himself admitted that it's hard to convince JB not to play. This speaks volumes, not just about Brooks, but about the tone set by the head coach. You've got a player with a nagging soft tissue injury, pushing to play a meaningless game. That's not normal. That's culture. And let's talk about that culture because it's the real storyline here. Despite the team's record and the challenges they've faced, there has not been one moment this season where you could say the Dolphins gave up. Even in games where things went sideways, like the second half against Cincinnati, the effort never faded. Brooks isn't the only one. Minkah Fitzpatrick, dealing with a calf injury that's kept him out multiple weeks, still wants to suit up. He's not being shut down either. These are veterans, team leaders, who want to be on that field, even with nothing tangible on the line. So why are they doing it? The answer is Mike McDaniel. Look, I've been vocal this year about McDaniel's flaws, and I've even said he should be fired. But credit where it's due, the culture this man has built in that locker room is undeniably strong. This team refuses to fold, and that, in itself, might be McDaniel's most valuable trait. Despite the noise and the disappointment, he's kept his guys united and motivated. That's not something you can fake in the NFL. That's not something that happens in a locker room that's turned on its coach. Still, there are concerns. KJ Britt, the backup to Jordan Brooks, is banged up too. If both of them can't go, Miami will be extremely thin at linebacker heading into the finale. We might see some practice squad elevations. Tyrell Dodson and Willie Gay Jr. could be leaned on heavily. That kind of thin depth is risky, but again, it's the final game. Most teams would coast. Miami is still grinding. And then there's the quarterback situation. Quinn Ewers has started 2 games for the Dolphins, stepping in when Tua Tagovailoa was benched. Let's not sugarcoat it. Tua's struggles and big moments led to that decision. The coaching staff and even the locker room seem to lose confidence in him. It's not just about a bad game here or there. It's about failing to elevate when it matters most. That's the knock on Tua, and ultimately, it opened the door for Quinn. McDaniel had some interesting words about Ewers. He called him a galvanizer, a guy teammates naturally rally around. That's not something you can coach. That's something you either have or you don't. McDaniel said Quinn has it. That aura, that confidence that lifts everyone around him. And in a sport like football, especially at quarterback, that's gold. Now, let's be real. Ewers hasn't exactly lit up the stat sheet. Across 2 starts, you'd probably grade him a C+ at best. But he's given this team energy. The win over Tampa Bay, for example, came against a team fighting for their playoff lives, and Miami controlled that game from the start. It's a small sample size, but the vibes are different. You can feel it. And let's not forget the draft implications. Miami currently sits at the 12th overall pick heading into week 18. But depending on how Sunday plays out, they could climb as high as the 8th pick or drop as low as 15th. A loss to the Patriots, paired with wins by the Bengals, Saints, or Falcons, and the Chiefs, could vault Miami into the top 10 with the 9th pick. Considering this team is already out of the playoff picture, that draft positioning is not something to ignore. It could be franchise-altering. Because here's where things get even more complicated. On the surface, it's easy to say, let's win out, build momentum, right? That's the fan reaction, the competitor's mentality. But this isn't Madden. This is the NFL. Every draft position counts. And this isn't a team that's just one player away. We're talking about a roster with critical holes, especially at linebacker, offensive line depth, and yes, the quarterback position still hangs in the balance. And let's face it, if Quinn Ewers shows flashes but the team ends up with the 9th overall pick, it gives the front office leverage, flexibility. Maybe they stick with Quinn. Maybe they draft a weapon for him. Maybe they use that pick to trade up or down and add more pieces. But finishing 12th or 13th, that limits what you can do. That's the uncomfortable truth about winning meaningless games. You feel good in the moment, but are you really better off for it? This is where the front office and coaching staff are walking a tightrope. Because if Mcdaniel sits key starters like Jordan Brooks or Minkah Fitzpatrick, the message could be interpreted as waving the white flag. But if he plays them and they aggravate injuries in a game that doesn't alter the postseason, that's a front office nightmare. Especially knowing Brooks is fighting for that NFL leading tackle spot, something that might have contract or performance incentives tied to it, and Minkah is just refusing to be shelved because that's the tone Mcdaniel has set. These guys believe, and they're willing to risk it all to prove that belief. But if you're Chris Greer, do you really want your stars on the field for this one? Do you want to risk next season's health for a pride game? This is where the GM head coach alignment has to be rock solid, because the long-term health of this franchise could be impacted by the decisions made this week. Now let's talk bigger picture. Let's talk Quinn Ewers again. The reality is this: Tua's chapter in Miami is likely closed. The trust isn't there anymore, and the NFL isn't a place where you get infinite chances. Once the locker room loses faith in a QB, that's it. And Ewers might not be the most polished guy yet, but what he has, swagger, energy, that it factor, those are things you can't coach. And they matter. You see it in how his teammates talk about him, how McDaniel defends him, how fans react to him. But is he the guy? 2 games isn't enough to make that decision, which is why this Patriots matchup, as much as it doesn't matter, kind of does. It's another opportunity to evaluate Quinn under NFL speed, to see how he reacts to a Bill Belichick defense, regardless of how depleted it is, to see if he can put another competent performance on film. Not necessarily to win, but to show progress, poise, command. Because let's not pretend McDaniel didn't take a massive risk by benching Tua. If Ewers flames out in Week 18 or looks completely lost, that pressure is going to be right back on the head coach. And even though he's earned some grace with the culture he's built, losing the locker room over the QB decision would be the beginning of the end. And everyone knows it. That's what's riding on this game. Folks, it's not about the scoreboard. It's about momentum, culture, confidence, future planning, and jobs. Now, while we're on the topic of the future, this draft board is wild. Miami's range, pick 8 to pick 15, is one of the widest in the NFL. If the Dolphins lose and a few other results break their way, they're sitting in the top 10. But if they win and others around them do the same, they could be pushed to the mid-teens. That's the NFL domino effect. And the craziest part? Most of the teams around Miami in the standings are playing games that could go either way. The Saints and Falcons are both sitting at 6 wins and facing off. One of them has to win. The Bengals are favorites over the Browns. The Chiefs are expected to beat a miserable Raiders team. Cowboys-Giants could swing either way, but Dallas is the favorite. If everything breaks right, Miami loses, all the favorites win, then the Dolphins are sitting on the 9th overall pick in a loaded draft class. That's not small time. That's foundational, especially when you look at what this team truly needs. Edge depth, linebackers who can stay healthy, maybe another corner, depending on the future of some veterans. And of course, depending on how the Ewers experiment plays out, you might even look at a quarterback if someone unexpectedly falls. But you don't have those options from pick 15. So, fans, you've got a real dilemma here. Root for the win and let that positive momentum ride into the offseason? Or root for the loss and secure the capital that could shape the next 5 years? It's a divisive topic, and I want to hear what you think in the comments. Was Mike McDaniel right to build this never-quit culture, even if it risks a higher draft pick? Do you believe Quinn Ewers has shown enough to earn the job going into 2026? Should Jordan Brooks and Minkah Fitzpatrick suit up in Week 18, or should the team play it safe? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and stick around. We've got more Dolphins coverage coming up and a new video on the screen right now that dives into Miami's draft possibilities. Hit that play button and keep the conversation going.